Cue the music, cue the sound effects. Now, okay, this isn't LucasArts, but you'll get the sci-fi reference, hopefully. The point is that this is a big phone, and in its white finish, it even looks like an Imperial Star Destroyer and comes in a very Empire Strikes Back deluxe packaging too. We'll get some slight negatives out of the way very quickly. This is the Oppo N1 and it's a sealed design. And in this edition, its storage is capped at about 12 gig free out of the box, split between system and user data partitions with no micro SD expansion. No access to the battery either, though at 3,600 milliamp hours, this goes for days on a charge, if you're careful. But the big negative, the obvious one, is the size. Like the Lumia 1520 reviewed in the previous phone show, the Oppo N1 towers over my Galaxy Note 2, which was previously one of the size champions, at least in length, 17 centimetres and weighing 213 grams with aluminium frame and ceramic body. In short, it's big and heavy, and yet really rather, well, comfortable to hold, thanks to the curved profile that sits nicely in the hand. Okay, it's still a two-handed device to use, but this phablet does its best to feel like a phone. It's also only available in white. I guess it's early days for Oppo. There's a 32 gig version that runs ColorOS, Oppo's own set of Android extensions and applications, though this is the slightly cut down 16 gig Cyanogen version, one of the options out of the factory, and I'm happy enough. What is Cyanogen, I hear you ask? You must have heard it before on this show. A third party specialising in custom Android firmware builds, and a new partner of Oppo here. In Phone Show 216, I showed how I'd retrofitted Android 4.4.2 KitKat on my old Galaxy Nexus using the Cyanogen mod third-party firmware. And later in this show, I'll come back to something similar. You can think of Cyanogen mod as stock Android, pretty up-to-date, but with lots and lots and lots of tweaks and extensions and settings under the hood that you can delve into if you really want to. Ignore all the stuff under the surface and it's virtually indistinguishable from stock Jelly Bean or KitKat. All of which meant that I was very at home here in terms of interface. The 1080p screen is used very well. I had no problems with my standard Android applications on the huge 5.9-inch IPS display. This was up with the HTC One screen and had quite superb viewing angles. Because of the N1's size, the volume buttons are sited low on the right-hand side, a position I think works quite well when making a phone call. Down the bottom are headphone jack, micro USB data and charging, and the port for a pretty adequate loudspeaker. It could be louder, it could be higher quality, but I'm not going to complain. In addition to its size and Cyanogen mod from the factory, the other unique selling point here is the swiveling camera. Now, I remember rotating cameras from old classics like the Nokia N90 and N93. But I also remember how complex they were mechanically. Oppo has done a great job on making the unit in the N1 feel solid, and it doesn't slip, it stays where you put it, and there are detents fully rotated in either direction. Though I doubt many owners would swivel it every single day, and most of the time it can stay pointing in front of you, as you'd expect. What's the point of it, I hear you ask? Well, about taking high quality selfies at 13 megapixels. I can see every nose there. Actually, the most useful aspect here is that you can take photos of people discreetly, without them being self-aware and putting on their camera face. To observers, it looks like you're fiddling with your smartphone, when actually the camera's pointing that way and you're actually snapping away. Sneaky, eh? Don't misuse it. Actual quality is excellent, right up with the Galaxy S4s and iPhones of this world, though the dual LED composite flash iPhone style was only partially operative in this, the Cyanogen mod version of the N1, sadly. An extra long shutter speed mode means interesting possibilities at night, especially in city centres where there are lots of moving lights. And in weak winter sunshine, this is test video on the Oppo N1. Amazingly, I'm seeing myself on the phone screen at the same time as I'm filming. This is a first thanks to the Oppo N1's rotating camera module. Do I look at the camera or the screen though? The camera or the screen? Either way, pretty good quality. Well done, Oppo. It's at this point in a phone show review that I launch into all the added software and UI features. But there aren't any here, which is a good thing. Cyanogen mod and stock Android is simply a great base on which you install the apps and widgets and customizations of your choice rather than a commercial bundle a manufacturer decides on. Admittedly, Cyanogen does include a local music player, Apollo, plus DSP Manager to let you optimize the N1 sound, and both Chrome and browser, a perennial source of confusion for end users, and a torch utility. But that's your lot. And what you fill the N1 with is very much up to you. And yes, fill, that word. That perhaps is a show-stopping limitation for some. 10 gigabytes free in the main user partition for everything is tight. Very tight for 2014. Let's hope you weren't planning on adding too much media, installing too many big games, or shooting too much 1080p video. Why Oppo doesn't offer the 32 gig version in Cyanogen form is beyond me. I guess you could buy the larger one with the Color OS, then put Cyanogen on it. However, any criticism should be put into context against the Oppo N1's price, under £400 effectively, all in buying from Oppo style in Europe, which for a device of this size, spec and style is excellent. Add in that, unlike most of Samsung's offerings, the N1 feels premium, right up with the Nokia, Apple and HTC flagships, and I can't help but give this device a hearty thumbs up. If you can live with the size and the capacity, I don't think you can go far wrong with the Oppo N1. I do seem to get these irrational urges sometimes. No, not those urges, the other ones. Wanting to have my cake and eat it. In this case, the Galaxy Note 2's super components and specs, AMOLED display, loudspeaker, a pretty good camera, replaceable battery, micro SD expansion, but I wanted more. In fact, I wanted so much that I've renamed this the Nexus Note, at least in my hands. In Phone Show 197 about 6 months ago, I looked at customizing the heck out of TouchWiz, but I wanted to go further. Samsung apps and services that still kept popping up, I was having to play whack-a-mole every time they started up again. So, continuing with the Cyanogen mod theme of this phone show, I used the rather splendid new Cyanogen mod install wizard running on my Windows 7 laptop to completely blast away Samsung's version of Android and stick Cyanogen mod 10 on instead. Bliss. Stock Android in terms of UI and look and feel, yet loads of interesting tweaks that you can investigate if you have the time and inclination. And nothing intrusive. Everything still works, even the stylus provided you install whichever app you want to use it with. So that was step one, albeit the biggest. Next was that Qi wireless charging was missing. Wireless charging is something I'm a huge fan of, which I've got very used to with all my Nokia Lumias and the previous Google Nexus 5. Samsung planned to create an official Qi charging back for the Note 2 and never got round to it. Step in a £10 Qi charging coil from Amazon. It sits on top of the battery with a little double-sided sticky tape, and the ribbon cable's contacts get pressed into the Note 2 charging contacts very easily when the back is replaced. Talking of the back, like many people, I cannot live with the acres of glossy plastic on the Note 2's back. Step in eBay this time with this carbon fibre-ish replacement back for £8. Much, much better. It's grippy, it fits perfectly, and it makes the Note 2 feel like $1 million. Well, 100. Finally, I talk of the advantages of replacement batteries a lot. Yes, I mellowed a bit on this one, Phone Show 218, but watch this. Say I'm planning a really heavy mobile weekend and power will be an issue. Oh look, the Note 2's battery comes out, as you probably realise. Oh look, here's the Zero Lemon 9300 milliamp hour replacement cell. Enough to get the heaviest power user through the longest weekend on a single charge. And the back fits beautifully and it's rubberized and probably showerproof as well. Back home, slim it down by a couple of millimeters and back to the original battery and back. Now, that's what I call flexibility. Nexus Note, regardless of what I call it, I've ended up with a solution that's quirky, yet immensely simple, powerful and flexible. Now, why do I keep ending up for my own use with handset installations that you can't recommend to the man in the street? It's fine for you, of course, tech-savvy phone show viewers. Enjoy. Yes, I can take a shot. All together. Smile. Okay, cheers. Yes, I can do a photo. Just hang on a second. I've got to turn the phone screen on and the camera on and then do the NFC thing and then wait for the application to start up. Oh, hang on. I've got to do the legs on the side of the camera as well. And then I've got to Put that on there. Okay, I'm ready. Smile. Oh, come back.